Drawing is not as hard as you make it out to be. If you apply yourself for even a couple weeks, you'll see significant improvements. If you can sustain that same level of effort for months, the results will be staggering. What you struggle with is not learning how to draw. There are a million resources for that. What you struggle with is motivation, focus, and applying yourself long enough to become amazing at it. And you're not alone. Most people struggle with this the same way that they struggle with trying to exercise or eat healthy. Most artists believe that you need a spark of inspiration to be motivated and get any real work done. Successful artists know the real trick: creating habits. The professionals you look up to had the same goals that you do today. When they were beginners, they wanted to be professional artists too. For every artist who succeeds at reaching that goal, there are thousands who do not make it. Some go on to choose different career paths because they really believe that they can't acquire the skills necessary to become an artist. And some of them continue to do art in sort of a haphazard manner, never acquiring the skills or the work that they desire. What sets those professionals apart from you is the systems that they created to establish their incredible skills. One of the most frequently asked questions that most beginner artists ask a professional is, how do you stay motivated? You look at a professional artist drawing day in, day out, and you wonder where they get all that motivation to draw all day. It's like they have this mysterious power to call upon when they want to draw for hours on end. And only if you could tap into that power too could you become an incredible artist just like them. The truth is, the secret isn't flashy or surprising, it's just practical. And it gives them the freedom to do what they want, when they want to. We're creatures of habit. Whether we know it or not, most of what we do every day is run by repeated behaviors. Our tiny choices on a day-to-day basis may seem insignificant, but each choice is a vote for the kind of person you are and will become. You have a choice in every moment to become the person you were meant to be. You and I both know you're an artist, and with the right tools, you can be a successful one. To make a habit, you just need 4 simple steps. Make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. This is a fun and creative way to say cue, craving, response, and reward. The cue is meant to trigger your brain to initiate a behavior. If you want to draw or paint and you need to make that behavior obvious, you can leave out your sketchbook or your tablet. Better yet, you can open up Photoshop or leave a pen next to your sketchbook to make it even more obvious. I always keep my Wacom tablet in front of my keyboard so it reminds me always that I want to come back to drawing. The cue leads to craving and your desire to perform the behavior. Research shows that it's actually the strongest part of the whole process. The part of your brain that handles craving is actually larger and more intense than the part of your brain that handles the reward. Our brain is wired to crave a behavior more than it is to be rewarded by it. Think of the last time you were craving something sweet, like maybe a cupcake or pancakes. The craving can be so intense that you'll take anything sweet just to satisfy it. And sometimes you'll find the reward isn't all that satisfying. The craving of the cupcake or pancakes was more rewarding than the actual reward of eating it itself. What this tells us is that you don't actually crave the habit, but you crave the change in state that it delivers. And this is where a lot of artists excel. We crave at creating really cool artwork, our own characters, our own worlds, but you also know that that comes with a lot of failure in learning that, and so the habit is never fully realized. You're just left with a lot of craving for something that never happens. And for a behavior to be repeatable and become a habit, it has to have a reward. The response is the actual behavior that you want to perform, which is why you want to make it easy. If you try to draw for 3 hours after a lifetime of not drawing at all, your brain's going to fight you on it, and it's not going to go smoothly. Draw for 5 minutes and establish the habit, and once you do, you can improve from there. And finally, the response delivers the reward. Despite it being less enticing than the craving, it still has to be satisfying. Now, usually this would just be the act of creating and the euphoria of that experience now being complete. But like I said before, failure happens a lot, and not every drawing you make is going to make you very happy. It's not going to be satisfying. There's no reward in a drawing that you think looks terrible. You can do one of 2 things at this point. You can choose a reward to magnify that experience, like giving yourself a cookie every time that you complete a drawing session. Or approach it from the mindset that the effort that you put in is the reward. If you can feel satisfied that the effort you put in was worth it, that can be a reward of itself. So let me use myself as an example of how I create a drawing habit with my Wacom tablet using everything that we just learned. Here are the steps I would take. For the cue, I would place the Wacom tablet in front of my desk with Photoshop open, so when I see it, I know it's time to draw. I made what I need to do very obvious. For the craving, it's what we're best at. I want to create my own characters and bring them to life. The response is the actual drawing on the Wacom tablet. I make it easy by only doing as much as I can do without my brain fighting me on it. That may be 5 minutes for you and an hour for somebody else. Finally, the reward is I satisfy my craving to draw on my Wacom tablet. I put in the effort and it is satisfying. And through that process, drawing now becomes associated with just seeing my Wacom tablet. Do you see how powerful a habit can be? You have hidden habits running your life every day. You salivate when you smell fried food. You see a trailer for a new show or movie and you can't stop thinking about it until you see it. I have concept art for the background of my computer, and every time I see it, I want to play the game. You rarely notice these habits that run your life, but they are there. You can take control of them and use them to your benefit. This is how professional artists find success, and it's how you will too. So to recap, to make a habit you need 4 things: cue, craving, response, and reward. For the cue, you make it obvious. For the craving, you make it attractive. For the response, you make it easy. And for the reward, you make it satisfying. And whatever cue you use becomes associated with a particular behavior. Over time, you could have multiple cues that associate with a particular behavior. That's how you can get taken in by things like advertisements. It's not just one cue coming in, it's hundreds of them, and you start performing behaviors based on those cues without you actually realizing it. All we're doing is making cues that point you in the direction of doing things you actually want to do. And if you follow these steps, it's actually quite easy to get done. When you can finally sit down and apply yourself, you'll be surprised by how quickly you can learn. Drawing will feel less overwhelming, and you'll be more compelled to do it the more and more you follow through on that habit. If you really dedicated yourself, you could learn how to draw and paint in a few years. And with the right tools, I think you can learn even faster than that. Your goal of becoming a professional artist is possible, but only with good habits. As James Clear likes to say from his book Atomic Habits, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Build the systems you need to become an artist, and those habits will give you the freedom to achieve success. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and a huge thank you to Wacom for sponsoring this video. Until next time, have a happy and healthy creative process.